workshop within that realm to identify it, but I wanna make sure that there's clarity publicly. And D Court was identified as a street. So first of all, it was wonderful of the city to proactively send letters out. 2,000 letters were sent, 1,800, with respect to existing zoning and future zoning. A couple that brought a great spirit to my heart live on one of those streets, and that were in the discussion. That was their first home, if that is correct. And the individual that built the home was specifically going around, well, I don't know, I have to be careful, built homes in a non-R1 or residential area. And so it was important that clarity was provided with respect to those properties, because there's a flexibility within a city to be able to adjust, make decisions, and work within the citizen base to allow us to be able to do the right things, whatever those right things can be. And I know that people were concerned on D Court, since it was identified, that there would be a value issue associated with their land. I'm not a real estate agent. But flexibility and the ability to sell or buy property is a wonderful opportunity. I don't know, as not a real estate agent, if there's a value issue, but based upon my discussions, there's none. There's not a value difference, because there aren't any open spots on D Court. Donna, is D Court all residential, single family?
Yes.
Thank you. So all it is, and that's what's interesting, is we've sent out 1,800 letters, probably gotten 100 calls back. Some of those calls were for clarification. Most of them, people, as long as they understood what was going on, was just thrilled to death. And I can't thank the group that handled those 100 calls. 20 of them called me. I should have given them my wife's cell phone. And because there's frustration, and there shouldn't be a concern that there wasn't anything but open transparency. This was before we move forward, this is where we're zoned, and this is how we're zoned. And if you've got questions or concerns, let us know. After that letter was sent, and after a discussion I had with a couple who was here, I made sure that my zoning was what I thought it was. And I think one of the individuals made that same comment: they'll never buy another home until they know what zoning is. And there wasn't any lack of transparency. In fact, it was just the opposite. Is we wanted to get out in front of those issues associated with zoning change and competence. Now, with respect to the other, and comments is probably the best word. Ed and the group that's out there, at baseball games, at the store, I get people coming to me accosting, derogatorily saying, how in the heck are you gonna put 20 homes on an acre? And my thought is, it's impossible. Well, my email group is telling me that there's going to be 20 dwelling units per acre. And I said, so is a dwelling unit a residential unit? Well, I don't know. All I know is that you're gonna build 20 homes on an acre. And if I say no, they don't believe me, but the answer is no publicly. If you wanna look at, and we'll talk about it during the workshop, some of the things that are going on, good or bad, that are planned, we have to be able to plan for it. Hayden was horrible. When I was the head of Jobs Plus, I could say this, it's okay. I didn't bring people through Hayden because there wasn't a plan. There was a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit there. And when you do that without a plan, without growth in your mind, or non-growth, without infrastructure, if you don't plan, then you fail. What was amazing about this process from the group that's a staff here is that they're planning. And we'll talk about in the workshop some of the information that was given or used within that plan. But please rest assured that we have constraints. Those constraints are traffic. Those constraints are sewer. Those constraints are water. Those constraints should be schools, and we're working with the schools to make sure that those constraints are identified. But this isn't simply a plan to allow 30, 25, whatever the number, 20,000 people to move here. The plan is to say, okay, if this is gonna happen, and this is gonna happen, and this is gonna happen, then we need to be able to have a plan in place to be able to address it. And that's what we're trying to do. And I love the input from Ed and his group. Because they're citizens saying either A, I don't understand, or B, I want to provide input, or this letter doesn't explain what it should have explained. All those things are real. We're a group working together to try and do the right things. So this is not adversarial, this is transparent. In fact, more so than any city that I've ever been a part of. And some cities have told me, why did you send letters out? All it does is confuse. And my thought was, no, you send letters out to be able to try to get information. And then you put a plan together based upon constraints that we'll talk about during the workshop. So, Ed, I commend you. You're getting calls at 4 in the morning. You can look to the lady to your left. She knows that my emails sometimes are responded to at 1 in the morning. Because people deserve an answer. And we're trying to do it right. But we have constraints. We also have information that's going to be out there and presented with respect to where we're gonna be and how we're gonna get there. And is it the right thing? We moved here in 1970. And I respond to a lot of the emails with this. When should we have closed? And like Ed said, we're not talking about closing the door. We're just trying to do it with an idea in mind that we can't just be rampant. We can't be unchecked. We can't be unfiltered. And we're not. We're not. So those that want to see me at baseball games when I'm with my grandson, you can ask about 20 units, and my response is going to be, I can't put 20 units on an acre of single-family homes. But if we look at what's north of Lancaster and west of Government Way, that's a good example of trying to be able to balance as best we can. I'd like, part of me wishes we could go back to a blinking light at Government Way and Hayden. That's what it was in 1970. There wasn't that big thing called Highway 95. But I'm grateful for the blessings that have come to my family because of the growth. Because my kids live here and my grandkids live here. So I'm grateful for that. And I think we're all trying to move in the right direction. So that is my comment. And did I do badly, Caitlin?